This video is addressing the use of the term the quitter's flu. This is something that I never saw when I was doing live clinics. My first 30 years in this field, never heard of anything called a quitter's flu. I used to describe to my clinic participants reactions that they were having that very much were flu-like symptoms. People would come in the first day or the second day or the third day after quitting and saying, oh, they were headachy and they might be dizzy and they might actually be coughing more. They might actually have a little burning in their throat. They have, different aches and pains. And geez, this would sound like flu kind of symptoms. But they weren't flu symptoms happening to these people. They were withdrawals going on. There were different situations that were causing the different symptoms. The cilia regeneration would be causing the coughing. The dizziness or headaches that they might be experiencing could have been a blood sugar issue. The burning sensations they were having in their throat and throughout their lungs, those kind of pains, that could have been nerve cell regeneration. These were all body repairs that were going on from quitting smoking, but they were mimicking flu kind of symptoms. Never gave it the term quitter's flu, but you could understand how people would experience this and think, oh, they're having a flu kind of symptom. The problem I have with the term quitter's flu, though, we're going into flu season right now, and people will sometimes be exposed to microbes that cause these illnesses with colds and flus. I mean, primarily viruses, but there's also bacterial infections that can be going on, causing issues too. Well, sometimes people quit smoking, but they're exposed to these microbes from people who have actual conditions, and they start getting the symptoms, and they don't accept the fact that they might very well have caught an infection from these other infectious people. They just decide they don't have to do anything about it because, oh, they've got the quitter's flu. This is dangerous. If a person is compromised and they have some real problems going on here, and they're writing off a condition that may really need treatment, this is a disservice that this individual is doing to themselves. They're putting themselves at risk. There are, again, times where a person will quit smoking, get symptoms which are flu-like symptoms, but they're not from the infection. That's possible. General guidelines that I would tell my clinic people is, hey, if you get a fever at any point in time, this is no longer withdrawal. Fever is not a symptom of withdrawal. Something else is going on at the same time. So that would be an automatic one. I see people on quit sites who say, oh my God, they got all these symptoms, and they actually have a fever. They've got swollen glands. They've got symptoms that you just know are not withdrawal, but people are coming and saying, oh, you've got quitter's flu. Don't worry about it. And these people don't do anything about it. Don't write off symptoms like this. And if the thing is going longer than the third day, once you're into your fourth day, it's time to stop writing off symptoms like flu-like symptoms to not smoking. In fact, the way I used to tell people, they could tell the difference between did they actually have a flu or had they just come through withdrawal. The way you could tell is on the fourth day. On the fourth day, generally on the fourth day of a flu, even if the symptoms have peaked and you're starting to get better, oh man, you could still be wiped out that next day. You're still dragging. You're still not really well focused. You really can, don't feel well after the peak day of a flu. Withdrawal is different. You could wake up your fourth day. And again, that's assuming that it peaked on the third day. For some people, it peaked on the second and some on the first. But the day after the peak withdrawal, when people would wake up, they'd often be amazed at how good they felt. They felt really, really good. Better than they felt maybe in years, even though, the day before they felt like, utter trash. And that's where the difference between flu and withdrawal is. Again, when you're coming through a flu, you're still dragged out. But when you come out of withdrawal, you could feel really good really fast. And that would have been a good indicator of whether what you had was a flu of some sort or whether it was, again, a withdrawal that you'd just come through. I have a number of videos addressing issues tied to this. The most significant one is getting colds or flus after quitting smoking. And if you haven't seen that one, check out that video. It'll be in the video description here. That's an important one because it does describe that if you do get an infection close to the time that you're quitting, within days or weeks, it could be a real serious feeling one, that you could have more intense reactions than your normal colds will have. And this will explain why that is often the case. The more important thing about that video, though, is it goes into another issue, is when you start to get better, it can create urges for cigarettes that were stronger than they've been in a while. New urges that will come in from getting well, and that video will cover that. But I'll also put in the videos addressing blood sugar issues. The video that I have addressing why people sometimes can feel headachy and disoriented when first quitting smoking. The videos about the cilia repair, why the coughing can occur. And other videos too, actually some of the most important ones is how important it is not to write off every symptom you're getting after you quit smoking, whether it's the day you're quitting smoking, and more importantly, when it's weeks or months after you quit smoking. Again, I'll see people writing off symptoms for an extended time period that you just know by time frame. This has nothing to do with quitting smoking, and these are things that should no longer be ignored. So there'll be videos addressing this too. Main point now is when you quit smoking, you're generally going to be healthier over your lifetime. You may feel bad in the beginning, but you'll generally be healthier over your lifetime because you have quit smoking. Even at times when you get sick, you probably won't get sick as often, and over the long term, the diseases that you get and the conditions you get generally won't be as severe once you got a long-term quit going. And all you got to do to be able to reduce your risk of future diseases, and that's important to note that smokers get more colds and more flus and more infections because they do wipe out the first lines of defenses. But all you need to do to start to minimize the risk of getting future infections and having them not be as serious over the long term is simply stick to a personal commitment once you quit smoking, to stick to the personal commitment to never take another puff.